Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Casme 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Supreme Court unanimously dismisses two suits challenging the constitutionality of the passage of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, also known as Anti-LGBTQI Bill. Much later on the program, NDC's march touted Operation Recover or Loot is set to kick off in earnest as President-elect John Mahama names a 5-member team to solicit for leads on suspected acts of corruption. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, a 7-member panel of the Supreme Court has unanimously dismissed two petitions filed by media personality Richard Delasky and Amanda Odoi challenging the constitutionality of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. Richard Delasky was contesting the legality of the bill, arguing that it violates several provisions of the 1992 Constitution, including Articles 33(5), 12(1), and 2. He was seeking 8 reliefs, one of which calls for a declaration that the Speaker of Parliament breached Article 108(1) A and 2 by permitting the passage of a bill that imposes a charge on the Consolidated Fund or other public funds of Ghana. Now, in dismissing Dr. Amanda Odoi's case, the Apex Court noted that the writ didn't properly invoke the jurisdiction of the court. Dr. Amanda Odoi had raised concerns over specific provisions within the bill. She was requesting a restraining order to prevent the Speaker of Parliament, the Attorney General and the Clerk of Parliament from forwarding the bill to President Akufo-Addo for assent. Now, Parliament passed a bill in February this year prohibiting same-sex relationship and activities, including promotion of it. Now, Lord Edwasari will be joining us very shortly with the latest on this. Lord, just give us an understanding of what has transpired in court so far.
Right, Beatrice. So, essentially, in dismissing the suits by researcher Dr. Amanda Odoi and the media personality Richard Delasky, I'll start with Richard Delasky's own. Now, the 7-member panel of justices indicated that the anti-LGBTQ bill as it stands has not yet become a law. And so Richard Sky's suit or action is premature as there's nothing against which to exercise their judicial review or jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And so they indicated that until there's presidential assent to the bill, which we are waiting to see if the president will do so, there's no act for which the Apex Court should use its supervisory jurisdiction to overturn. You realize that Richard Delasky was part of his release was that the court overturns the bill, citing that it violates the human rights of some individuals in society. Now, in Dr. Amanda Odoi's case, the Supreme Court, which was presided over by Justice Avril Lovelace Johnson, indicated that the bill, at the time she filed it, is still undergoing parliamentary process, and so will be premature for the Supreme Court to exercise its supervisory jurisdiction against an act of parliament that are still not completed. And so these are the reasoning, but then they did indicated that the full reasoning or the for which they dismissed unanimously will be given on Friday, December 20. So we are waiting to see what the reasons of the court is, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Lord Edwasari. He's our court correspondent. We have on the line with us Roxy Nelson Dafia Mokpo, MP for South Dine. He's one of the lead advocates for this bill. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I'm privileged to have joined you.
Now, finally, the Supreme Court has removed all impediments after this back and forth. I'm wondering what your expectations are on when the bill can be assented to.
It's very simple. The clerk to Parliament, who is constitutionally mandated in law to remit or transmit a bill passed into an act of law by Parliament to the office of the President for his or her assent. And so now, my expectations are that transmission can be done today. There's no longer any legal impediment to, as it were, prevent or desist, so that he will have to desist from transmitting same to the office of the President for his assent. But let me quickly add that I have all along known that this was a journey to nowhere. This was premeditated. It was clearly done to frustrate this process. This is constitutional law 101, and Richard Kai is now a trained lawyer. He's not merely a journalist. He's now a trained lawyer. He's now a legal mind, and so he knows all along that the step that he has taken will end up this way. And so I'm not surprised the position taken by the court. He had no cause of action at the time he actioned this matter and took it to the Supreme Court. His cause of action has no ripping. And so, like the court said, it was premature. And it is simply that. It was a premature ejaculation.
Nonetheless, it took the court so long to finally come to this point. Would you be surprised if the current president fails to assent to it?
The president no longer has the reason not to assent to it. If he has any reason, he ought to have communicated that pursuant to Article 106 and 108 of the Constitution long ago, when the bill was first transmitted to him. He has imperatives in the Constitution. If he objects to some content of the bill, there are procedures provided under the Constitution. The provisions are articulated to proceed. And having not done that, I believe when the document lands, when the act as passed by Parliament lands on his desk, and I urge the clerk to Parliament to strongly do that today. If it lands on his desk anytime later today, he's supposed to put pen to paper.
Thank you very much. We'll have to end it here. That was Roxy Nelson Dafiamakbo. He's Member of Parliament for South Dai and lead advocate for the anti-LGBTQI bill. Let's listen to the lawyer for Richard Dela Sky, whose case was dismissed today.
The law had not blossomed into an act. Therefore, we had no right to come to court. The bill had not blossomed into an act. Therefore, we had no right to come to court. But please, for now, it is just a tip of the iceberg. Let's get a full judgment. Look at it with the lawyer's lenses, then possibly advise our clients on the next step to take.
As of this, what's the next line of action? I know you are saying that we should wait to go through the judgment, but in any case, are you considering further action?
It will be very preemptive. As professionals, it will be unethical without seeing the full judgment to conclude that you take a further step. So I will plead with all of us. In fact, it is constitutionally binding that we act within the constraints of the law. So please, let all exercise some restraint until we read the full judgment.
And you heard Kwesi Abedu, he's lawyer for Richard Dela Sky. We can also hear the lawyer for Armando Doy, whose case was equally dismissed today.
The decision of the Supreme Court is final, but this is not final. There is another leg of finality to go. There's a review jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, which is available to us if we want to use it. And so it's not final. There have been instances where there have been a 5-0 and an appeal. On the review, it has been overturned. So anything can happen. So it depends on what is in there in the judgment, and then we can advise.
And you had the lawyer for Amanda Doy, the woman, one of the ladies who petitioned the Supreme Court against the anti-LGBTQI bill, the case which was dismissed today. Now, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will hand over power on January 7, 2025. But between now and then, he must take constitutional steps to forward a petition demanding the removal of the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo to the Council of State in determining a prima facie case against her. The petitioner is alleging stated misbehavior and incompetence against the Chief Justice. But what is the process the President is expected to go through in determining a prima facie case against the Chief Justice? Let's walk you through. In terms of the removal of the Chief Justice, Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution says that the President receives a petition that is on the process of removing the Chief Justice, and the President must consult with the Council of State to determine whether there is a prima facie case, what I just read to you, and if there is no prima facie case, the petition is dismissed. And there's more to it. It says that if there is a prima facie case, a committee comprising 2 Supreme Court justices and 3 other persons who are not members of the Council of State, nor MPs nor lawyers, will be tasked to probe the matter. The President is bound by the recommendations of this committee. Also, on the grounds for the petition, the petitioner is saying that the Chief Justice is actually accusing the Chief Justice of stated misbehavior and incompetence related to the Chief Justice's administrative functions as head of the judiciary, responsible for its supervision and administration under Article 125(4) of the 1992 Constitution. And I'll bring you some more on that, but ahead of it, the transition team of President-elect John Mahama has announced the formation of a preparatory team to drive his anti-corruption agenda ahead of his assumption of office. This move is an indication of Mahama's commitment to addressing corruption and ensuring accountability, a central promise during his 2024 presidential campaign. In a statement dated December 18, 2024, and signed by spokesperson Felix Kwachofosu, the team will gather information from the public and other credible sources on suspected acts of corruption. The team is tasked with laying the background work for what President-elect John Mahama refers to as Operation Recover or Loot Oil, an initiative aimed at reclaiming proceeds from corrupt practices and holding perpetrators accountable. Let me bring you the members of the committee in case you do not know yet. Samuel Kujata Blakwa, who is a member of parliament for North Tong and who's been a leading member of the NDC, intercepting documents and exposing the current administration, as it were, of alleged corruption. He will be the chairman of this committee. Also, Daniel Domelevo, he is a former Auditor General. COP retired Nathaniel Kofi Boache, retired Commissioner of Police. Martin Pegbu, private legal practitioner. Raymond Archer, investigative journalist. And I'll bring you some more on this. Let's stay with issues related to the government, and the National Democratic Congress is considering the restoration of original names of some public universities that were renamed under the Akufo-Addo administration. The next government says it will also rationalize some public holidays to reflect their historical significance. In an interview with 3FM's Christian Yale, a Manifesto Committee member, Elvis Efiankra, said that John Mahama will prove his critics wrong. There's more in the following report.
It promises a new dawn or a new era, and it is a government that Ghanaians are keenly expecting to deliver its touted promises. No room for disappointment, but result, as many have already vowed to closely mark the performance of the new administration. Once sworn into office on January 7, 2025, John Dramani Mahama and his NDC are targeting to abolish taxes like the e-levy, the betting tax, the COVID-19 levy, and the emissions levy.
This one, it be matter where they concern the youth, plenty. Where we come. The betting tax will go remove them.
That is not all. John Mahama will ban appointees from purchasing state assets, streamline government scholarships to deny political appointees access, and eliminate all forms of nepotism. His plan to reintroduce road tolls, something the NPP equally wanted to do, is one that has gained attention. John Mahama just wants to undo a lot of policy decisions by the current government. But what are the implications?
It is going to be very difficult for the NDC to be able to implement all its manifesto promises, especially in the first year. All these taxes are bringing in revenue. If you are going to remove them, how are you going to place the revenue that comes with it?
Ghana has tasted the free senior high school policy, an initiative that has struggled over the years with funding and myriad of challenges. John Mahama says he will provide a dedicated funding for it and improve it to make it better.
Nobody is going to scrap free SHS. What we're going to do is to get dedicated funding for it so that it is better resourced than it is currently.
Adding to this, the NDC is seeking to make entry to public tertiary institutions free for first-year students. This is one that has already attracted dissenting views. In the transport sector, for instance, they are seeking to legalize the operations of the Okada riders. What would all of these really mean for the country in the next administration?
I think it has to do with the implementation strategy. Largely whether they want to do it in the short term, long term, or medium, or they're going to start it and roll it gradually, or they're going to means test, or they're going to implement it holistically.
With a growing anticipation, the citizens expect how the former president, who has been re-elected, can enhance the fortunes of the country. Christianity.
And let's bring you some issues related to the just ended election and 6 new Patriotic Party parliamentary candidate in the 2024 elections have filed an application at the High Court seeking to compel the Electoral Commission (EC) from collating and declaring parliamentary results in their respective constituencies. Represented by lawyer Gary Nimako, the candidate Charles Forson, Tema Central, Frank Anodompre in Sawam Adredre, Patrick Yabuama, Okaiko Central, Martin Kwekweje, Mensa Kosa, Techiman South, Nane Kyo Uswe Friye, Ablikuma North, and Eric Nanaji Prempe Ahafwano North are seeking to mandate the EC to collate and declare the results of the elections held on December 7, 2024 in their constituencies. The suit also urges the Inspector General of Police to ensure adequate security at collation centers to enable the EC to carry out its constitutional duties without further disruptions. The applicants claim that the elections were duly conducted and results transmitted to the returning officers. However, collation processes were interrupted by violent acts from unidentified individuals at collation centers, resulting in chaos and halting proceedings. Subsequent attempts to resume collation at the EC's regional collation center and later at the police training school in Tessa and Accra were unsuccessful. Well, frustrated by the delays, the candidates issued a formal demand to the EC on December 16 for the immediate collation and declaration of results. Despite receiving the demand, the EC has not taken action yet. The applicants contend that the EC's failure to fulfill its statutory obligations undermines the democratic process, and the disgruntled MPP MPs insist that the court order is necessary to ensure the timely resolution of the matter and uphold electoral transparency. Let's go to the central region now, where life has become extremely difficult for victims of the Ocherekun flooding, which occurred months ago. The blocking and diversion of the natural course of the Ayensu River by the contractor undertaking the Kaswa-Winneba Road expansion and redesign works caused the heavy flooding in June this year. The disaster led to the collapse of 3 houses, while several others suffered structural defects. And Akwasi Adu is a man who is following this event for us. He joins us live on the line. Akwasi, just tell us really the specific steps that the victims of the Otreko flooding have taken to reach out to the contractor or any authority who is responsible.
Okay, so thank you very much. Since June 6, 2024, when the disaster struck, victims of the Otreko flooding situation, visiting the Gongwa East District Assembly, as well as visiting the temporary office of the Natremont Construction Limited to draw their attention to what we are going through. But it appears that the steps they've taken have not yielded any fruit until today. And so life has become extremely difficult for these victims, especially the aged ones among them. The case of Mr. Awaga is one that is, very troubling because he is disabled, and then at his age, his residential apartment was completely destroyed.
Kwasi, I want you to hold on so we listen to some of the victims you spoke to earlier, and we'll continue with the conversation.
Pachoyo. Danny Bubu and Yakobe Jama, best 6 months and 7 months. Na Obia Mekanhe, and my dear Chiria, if we are here, cry the former now, obey or ye Jumano, or the number 2 blacklist, if we are here, cry Menenoko, who didn't matter, they be a Intiama de Bia me contract and one of my friend, Nadmo officers, and my friend DC, Obia Mime. In the Nadmo officer, no cry, Mr. Hackman, or I catch him, says a meeting, I'm in Fanco Court. Omni she on by a mammy. Now, I am a mobile, says a made an NPP and NDC. Now, obey a Jumano in Sua Baby Bubu Midday.
Akwasi Adu, we just had one of the victims there. Can you tell us in English what he was saying, telling you in Tree?
Okay, so what this man is saying is that he has visited the assembly and then the NADMO for several times, but nothing positive is coming out of his visit. And he is worried that at some point, the Gongwa East NADMO director, Robert Hackman, did suggest to him to resort to using the court to ensure that he is duly compensated. He feels disappointed because he believes that, but for the contractor's action to divert the natural course of the Ayotu River, the flooding would not have occurred in the first place.
Do you know what officials are doing to alleviate the pain of these individuals who are complaining?
As a matter of fact, no, because you remember recently the contractor, Natremont Construction, through the Gongwa East NADMO, paid some compensation to victims of the Gongwa Budunguram explosion incident. At the time, we spoke to the DC, Mr. Solomon Pan, and what he told us was that all victims of disasters that have occurred within the time frame of the contractor's activity on the stretch have been duly catered for. And so he did mention that the Otreko people have been catered for. And now we are having the people telling us that they have not been sorted. And so we do not know, and there is no clearly established path as to how officials intend to deal with this situation.
Thank you very much, Akwasi Adu. He's our Central Region correspondent. Now, the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana, TEU Ghana, has threatened to resist the representation of its members at a council meeting of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Now, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has intervened in the impasse to bring an amicable solution. We're joined by Ibrahim Abubakar, who has been following the story. Ibrahim, what can you tell us? What more can you tell us?
Well, Beatrice, if we recall in 2022, TEU Ghana broke away from TEU TUC. But when you come to KNUST at the moment, TEU Ghana has the larger population of the members. They are numbering around 1,000 plus. And when you go to TEU TUC, it's around 20. But then currently, there has to be reconstitution of the governing council of KNUST. And TEU Ghana says they've heard that management has rather chosen someone from TEU TUC to represent them, something that they are not happy at all. This has been a lingering matter for some time now. In fact, they have even taken it to GTEC to intervene. and they have asked management of KNU and KNUST to hold on until they resolve all those issues. But they said that their intel, they've heard that KNUST has rather appointed a member from TUC to represent them. And for that matter, they are not happy about it at all. So God willing, tomorrow there will be a governing council meeting, and they have decided, or they are threatened to storm the meeting and stop it from going on if indeed they see someone from TUC representing them on the board. They are just hoping that KNUST will hold on until all differences are solved before they go ahead and appoint someone to represent them. Abdul Rahman Suleimana is the TU Ghana national chairman, and he has been speaking to me.
To us, because they are fully aware of this issue, and they are aware that we all know that until the matter is resolved at the GTEC level, no one should be represented in the University Council. But for them to, they went behind us to do all these things. We think that it is something that they acted in very bad faith. And as I said, if care is not taken, if they don't stop this at the end of the day, if anything happens on this campus, if there's any chaos, it is the management who have called for it, and they should be held responsible. Yes, our next step is to make sure that on Thursday, as we have been informed that there will be a council meeting, even if they are going to have the council meeting outside Ghana, till Ghana will follow them to wherever they will have the council meeting, to make sure that the gentleman they are trying to smuggle into the council meeting will not be allowed.
And you heard the national chairman of TU Ghana, Abdul Rahman Suleimana, speaking at a press conference earlier. You also heard Ibrahim Abubakar, a man who's been following this story, speaking to us. And before we go, President-elect John Mahama says that he will at all times ensure probity and accountability to ensure confidence in public office. Speaking in his office in Accra, he affirmed that Ghana has only this chance to make things right or risk the wrath of a possible uprising.
I do think that people must be held accountable. If you agree to accept the public trust, then you must account to the people who gave you that public trust. And so if we do this, it will make people think twice before they accept public office. If you live in your own private business, you can run it anyhow you want, that's your business. But if you come and the taxpayer you're put in an office which is paid with taxpayers' money, you must be prepared to account to the people for the trust that they have put in you. And so we want to raise accountability to another level. It's in our constitution that we shall uphold the principles of probity and accountability. And so it's a constitutional obligation for us to do that. As I said yesterday, this probably is our last chance to get things right. Because if this administration does not lift the level, then, people really would look at other means of being able to achieve what they think would make life better for them. And as I said, we're not immune to what is happening in other countries in our sub-region. And so we need to work as quickly as possible to bring back trust in our democracy.
President-elect John Mahama there. And that's it for the news show on Sri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to srinews.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Imagine a place where voices matter, where every corner, every street, every community is a platform.
A big bus moving through Accra, carrying conversations, questions, and the pulse of the nation. This is not just another show, it's your voice on the move.
Join us as 3FM Sunrise hits the road, turning ordinary streets into platforms for extraordinary dialogue. Speak freely, listen deeply, and help shape the conversation that drives Ghana forward.
Look out for the bus and tune in exclusively on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. My name is Manu Afful, and coming up this afternoon, UN report reveals Ghana spent 42% of revenue on debt servicing between 2017 and 2022, marking sharp rise from 27% recorded in preceding 6 years. We'll bring you details of that. Also, US-based economist Dr. Saad Idrisu urges next government to tackle financial irregularities in metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies following 290% increase under President Akufo-Addo's tenure.
That is an increase of almost 300%. So it tells you that our fight against corruption is rather retrogressing. We are not making any improvement, and that is worrying.
And Ghana's producer price inflation sees significant decline in November 2024, signaling a possible reduction in input costs for manufacturers and industries. We have details of these stories and others lined up for you. Please stay. Let's get straight into the details. A United Nations report has revealed that Ghana allocated 42% of its revenue to debt servicing between 2017 and 2022, marking a sharp rise from 27% recorded in preceding 6 years. The following 3 Business News report has details.
Ghana's rising debt burden is highlighted in the 2024 United Nations report on unpacking Africa's debt, which shows that 42% of the country's revenue went into servicing debt between 2017 and 2022. This is a 15 percentage point increase from the 2010 to 2016 period, during which 27% of revenue was used for debt repayment. Data from the Ministry of Finance reveals that debt servicing costs escalated from 36 billion cedis between 2010 and 2016 to a staggering 152 billion cedis in the latter period, with a total of 189 billion cedis paid over 12 years. Ghana's highest interest payment, 45.69 billion cedis, was recorded in 2022, significantly constraining public spending. The report further underscores Ghana's debt distress, with the IMF reporting a debt-revenue ratio peaking at 127% in 2020, the highest in sub-Saharan Africa. Although this ratio dropped to 117% in 2022, Ghana defaulted on its external debt that same year, leading to domestic and foreign debt restructuring.
That was a 3 Business News report on a UN report revealing that Ghana spent 42% of revenue on debt servicing between 2017 and 2022. Now, US-based economist Dr. Saad Idrisu has urged the next government to tackle financial irregularities in metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. This follows a report by the Auditor General that reviewed financial irregularities in ministries, departments and other agencies increased by 200 290% under President Akufo-Addo's government. Speaking to 3 Business, Dr. Sa'ad Idrisu described the situation as worrying.
If you take the Auditor's General report, it also tells you that our fight against corruption has been retrogressing over the years. With if you take the MMDAs, ministries, department, and agencies, other agencies, within 2009 to 2016, the highest financial or the sum of financial irregularities was around 4.1 billion cedis. As we speak, from 2017 all the way to 2023, it sums up to 16 billion. That is an increase of almost 300%. So it tells you that our fight against corruption is rather retrogressing. We are not making any improvement. And that is worrying for a developing country with so much developmental challenges. And I think future governments should make should take the fight against corruption extremely seriously.
You heard the voice of US-based economist Dr. Sa'ad Idrisu there. Away from that, latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service shows a significant decline in producer price inflation, signaling a possible reduction in input costs for manufacturers and industries. The PPI rate for November 2024 stood at 26.9%, representing a 6.1 percentage points decrease from the rate recorded in October 2024. There's more in the following news desk report.
This decline in producer inflation is a welcome development, indicating a slowdown in the rate at which prices are increasing at the production level. The month-on-month change in the PPI between October 2024 and November 2024 was negative 1.9%, further highlighting the decline in producer inflation. The industry sector, excluding the construction sector, saw a significant decline in producer inflation from 48.9% in October 2024 to 41.3% in November 2024. The construction sector also saw a decline in producer inflation from 34.5% in October 2024 to 31.1% in November 2024. The services sector recorded a producer inflation rate of 12.5% in November 2024, with mining and quarrying at 41.9%, accommodation and food services activities at 32.5%, transportation and storage 31.7%, and construction at 31.1%, recording inflation rates above the national average. In contrast, water supply, sewage, and waste management activity recorded the lowest rate of 5% in November 2024. The decline in producer inflation is a positive development for Ghana's economy, and it is expected to have a ripple effect on consumer prices in the coming months. However, it is essential for policymakers to continue monitoring the inflationary pressures and implement policies that promote economic stability and growth.
Well, that was a report on producer price inflation easing in November 2024. Now, Ghana's 2023 external position was moderately stronger than the level implied by fundamentals and desirable policies. Against the backdrop of fiscal consolidation, the IMF said strong gold exports, deferred external interest payments, and high remittances, the cumulative assessments narrowed noticeably. Its latest country report on Ghana disclosed that strong reserve accumulation through the Gold for Reserves program led to a faster than expected increase in gross international reserves. For 2024, strong gold export growth is expected to outweigh a sharp drop in cocoa exports, leading to a further improvement in the cumulative assessments. Well, that's it for Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, kindly log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Manu Afful, and stay tuned. Urban Blend is up next.